So my name is Laszlo Szabo, and our topic for today is Team Up and Nothing Can Take You Down, Creative Learning Processes in Teams. I would like to welcome you to this workshop. We are going to have three major topics today. This is the first is observations. We will talk about what we can observe if we look at our church and what happens in the church, and then we talk about the causes and the possibilities, what we can do. But before I start, I thought I'd introduce myself. I have a family, one wife and two children, or not vice versa. Once I was offered, I worked with some Arabic people, and they offered me a second wife, but I prefer to have two children and one wife than the opposite. My passion is to do something with my children, traveling and sightseeing or whatever, fun. I come from Hungary. Originally, I grew up in Hungary. But at this time, I work in Germany for Friedenthal Adventist University, which is a fantastic place. Have you ever heard about it? Yes? Have you ever visited it? Yeah. It is a fantastic place, and you know, this is just my office building. Can you compete? You know, this is my office here, you know, and this is a beautiful place, a historical place, you know, and I teach mission studies and practical theology in Friedenthal. And I also have some other passions I just would like to mention. One passion is work for people in Africa. I used to be a missionary in Tanzania, and I go back on a regular basis, and I just love the children there. You see, even this month on the 28th, I will go back and we are building the schools and planting churches. Church planting is one of my passions. I just like it. And if I go there, we are starting new schools for children, and we are playing games, and this is just something I love, you know, working for people who cannot say anything else, just thank you. They cannot reward, they cannot give you anything because they don't have anything, but they just love it, you know, to be with us and do something. And so this is something I love very much. And I think it's also important, if we think about our church and mission, to recognize that our task is not just to enjoy being in the church, but to help some other people also to smile, to enjoy life more. And I think this is our duty, and this is also our call. First, I would like to talk about the history and what we can observe in Europe. 1875 versus 2017. 1875, the first missionaries entered Europe. And one of them was Jakob Erzberger, Adventist from Switzerland. He got converted and he came to Germany at that time. Alone, there were no Adventists in Germany at all, but 45 million Germans in Germany. And when he entered the country, he only had one single Bible. And the only method he did was giving Bible studies. And he planted 2 churches within 2 years. A very successful missionary work. If we look at Europe today, 2017, how many methods and instruments do we have for proclaiming the gospel? Can you give me some examples? What can we do to have a successful church, to impact the society? What means, methods do we have? What are available? Media. We have television. How many television channels do we have in Europe? Online channels, and we cannot even count them. Many. We are printing books. You know, what else? What methods are we using? What means are we using for making our life so nice as possible, and also our impact on the society?
We have like these action days that we make.
Action days, yes. We also organize congresses like this, big events. We have a lot of money, actually, that we invest into programs like this. What else? We are printing books, magazines. We are present in the media, online. We are building very nice churches and buildings. And we are doing so many different kinds of activities, like healthcare activities, or counseling, or marriage counseling, premarital counseling, and so many things. But still, we are struggling. At that time, Jakob Erzberger, when he came to Germany, he was enthusiastic and efficient when he started his ministry. We see high efficiency and effectiveness in his ministry. But today, despite of all our resources and investments, we are struggling in Europe, in the Western countries. We have so many different ways to approach people and to make the life of young people enjoyable, but still young people are leaving our church. How many percent, what is the percentage of young people leaving the church? Do you know the figures in Europe? It's one of my passions doing research. And about 69 to 50% of young people are leaving the church in the European, Western European countries. Up to 69% of young people. That means we are busy doing so many things. We are investing, we are spending a lot of money to make church life nice, but still we are struggling, and even people who are growing up in the church are leaving us. So today I just would like to ask some questions. What's happening and what is causing this? What is behind of this? We are very often unsatisfied with the church, and the church is not satisfied maybe with young people, with you. But it's not enough just to complain about the situation. We need to do some steps to understand the situation and to discover what can be changed, what can be done in order to change. We can change the situation. If we look at the baptisms in Europe, we see that our church mainly baptizes only young people who are growing up in the church. We are not reaching the society. You see the figures here. We are baptizing mainly young people in the age between 15 and 21, 24. After that, we baptize very few adults. And that means we are not reaching adults, but also young people we are baptizing. Very often they are leaving the church again. We need to look at the question, how do we teach Christian values? How do we try to impact people? Because what we see is that what we are doing, teaching, our activities are not very effective, and we are not reaching the generations, so we need to look at it. And if we look at this chart here, you see on the left-hand side, you have marked with yellow the part where what is taught but not learned, wasted effort. This is what we are teaching. On the right-hand side, that is what we are not teaching, what is learned but not taught, for better or for worse. Young people growing up in the church, they are learning something from the church here. You see that on the left-hand side, and something else from the society, from friends. And in the middle, you have the part where both is present, where we are teaching something and the people are learning from us. So this chart shows how our teaching functions. Now the question is, how big is that portion that we are teaching but people are not buying? And how big is the part that we are not teaching but that is changing the life of our young people? So what do you think, which part is stronger? What the church is teaching, or what the society is teaching and is not in harmony with the teachings of the church? Which part is having more influence upon the younger generations in our church? The right ones, yeah. Do you agree, all of you? Yeah. What do you think, what might be the reason? What is causing this? That means we are not doing very well in our teachings, the way how we present our values. We are not convincing enough. We are not able to integrate people, but some others are doing that much better than us. So what do you think, what might be the reason? Because here we are wasting efforts, we are wasting so much money, efforts, and so many things and initiatives, and still we are not reaching our goals. What do you think, what might be the reason? Do we have problems with our values or our methods? What do you think? Where do we have the problem in this whole system? Any opinions? Yes?
It could be also what it is that we're teaching specifically. It might not
not have relevance to
Mm.
whether young people want to learn.
Yeah, missing relevance. Thank you. Someone else?
It's like we have like modern methods and we're trying to make them as modern as possible, but at the same time we're not teaching like many people that do not think from ideas.
Thank you.
I mean, I don't really think there's too much of an issue with the methods, but yesterday, for example, we were in a presentation about athleticism and identity. And one of the things that was mentioned is that young people of this generation are cherry picking their faith in that they are taking bits that they want. So they'll take bits of Adventism and maybe bits of other things.
Yes.
And so maybe it's just that we're not quite realizing what the bits are that people want, and or something. Maybe we're just trying to give them the whole of Adventism, where people sort of say, well, I don't want to take that, but I'll take that. So it's just about understanding, I think.
Yeah, they are creating a type of patchwork religion, made up of different parts. There is a research from Barna Institute. They talk about, and this is also a fact, about the rise of the knowns among millennials. Millennials are young people in the age between 18 and 29. And if you look at them, we see that they are losing their faith and their connection to church. And they discover that there are 3 spiritual journeys they are doing, 3 different spiritual journeys, the nomads. And the majority of these people, millennials, are leaving the church. And we see the nomads are having a Christian backgrounds. They walk away from church engagement. They still consider themselves Christian. They have trouble identifying with the church, but would consider themselves broadly a Christian. So that they are not connected to the church, they walk away, but they still believe. I work a lot with young people, and I see many young people go this way. They are connected to God, but they don't want to be connected to the church. If they come to the church, they are sitting there just because of the relationships, because my father or mother expects me to be there. You know, nothing else keeps them in the church. And the second group is the prodigals. They have lost their faith. They used to claim a personal faith, but no longer claim any Christian belief. They describe themselves as fairly certain they won't ever return to the Christian faith. You know, these young people are leaving the church completely and also beliefs and everything. They are completely disconnected from any kind of religions. And the third groups are young people who can be described as exiles. Exiles have a tough time finding a place in a church setting. They are not very much satisfied with the church, what is happening in the church, but they are still in the church building. They come to worship. They remain within an institutional church context. They fear being lost somewhere between their commitments to church and their desire to stay connected with the world around them. And they are struggling with these both worlds. So, but the church expects them just to be there, participate, and believe and practice what they teach them. So how do we deal with these people? First, I would like to ask the question, what led to this situation, what we are experiencing? It's quite complex. We don't have much time to talk about it. In freelance, so we have several classes. We do researches about it, but we see that in the whole society we have a general decline, you know, in terms of religiosity, general religious decline, because of the modernization process. We need God less and less. If you have problems, if you are sick, where are you going? Are you going to the pastor or you go to the doctor? You go to the doctor. If you have depression, where do you go? Do you go to the pastor or to the psychologist? Psychologist. If you have social problems, where do you go? To the church or to the social department of the city? So for everything, you have something in the modern society. You know, you don't need God. So what remained in the church? Just preaching. And preaching is an outdated form of talking or communication. So the church is not more than enough. So we don't like church because the style, the way of communication, how we design life in the church is not appealing. And lots of faith-connected experiences. Even if you come to the church, very often you participate on a program. But do you really experience God? Honestly. How many times do you experience God if you go to church? So we participate in a program, we listen to the sermon because we have to. Because this is our tradition. But very often, if I ask people, have you experienced God? By going home, The answer is no. Because our church life is program-oriented and not experience-oriented. And we are losing something, and people are living because they say, I don't have any experience with God. I don't know how it functions. And the third one, the history of Christian churches and their actions, fighting. Churches are fighting even today. If you go online and look for Adventists, what is bad about Adventists? Who are writing mostly about Adventists badly? Other Adventists. Is it true? So why shall I go to a church if they are fighting? You know? And these are three reasons why people leave the church. According to Bertelsmann Stiftung, they have made a research in 13 Western European countries. And also the changing of the cultural context is causing the problem. It's quite complex as we see the issue. In modernism, faith was just reasoning, explaining, and talking. We had one big story, an orderly world. We had laws and everything that created an order. We had explanations to all questions, you know, and we had rules to follow. But today, in the postmodern world, we are not so much interested in reasoning. People want to experience, not reason. They are not that much interested in a big story. They want to have their own story with God. Many times young people come to me and they said, I am ready to be baptized, but I have never experienced God. If you help me to experience Him, I'm ready to be baptized, but I'm not interested in stories of others. I want to have my own story. You know, are we able to help them to have their own story with God? And then they think holistically. If I believe in God, I don't want to believe only in the church in God, but where is God in my everyday life? And explanations, we don't like explanations. If people and parents start talking about rules, what we should follow, we don't like it. We want to try and discover by ourselves, you know, what is good and what is bad. And they are integration-oriented. Integration orientation means teamwork. We want to create fellowship and we want to enjoy being together. There's also a question about identity. How do we develop identity? We have differing approaches to identity questions. And we see that in the 19th century Protestant church, we had a doctrinal identity. You know, in the 21st century, we have, the Christians usually have, postmodern Christians have a spiritual, authentic identity. And we are somewhere in between both. And we have a transitional identity. You know, our parents are talking about doctrines. We have the desire to make authentic experiences. But doesn't function. We don't like doctrines and we don't get the authentic experiences. So we are lost somewhere in this search for identity. And we have this Seventh-day Adventist faith tradition, but this tradition doesn't give answers to many questions of life we are raising in our everyday life. So these are just some items that we can discover and see that causes the problems. I also would like to refer to a research in Germany that is Mindset 3.0. This is in German, but I will explain. People ask young people, researchers ask young people, what do you like and enjoy the most? And the answers are interesting. To meet friends, and to be with friends together, to listen to music and sex. These are the three items. And you don't find here church life, just these three. Do you know these three? I think this is very much known, you know, these three items. But something is interesting. I'm glad that this is not a religious research. They started asking questions. For example, friendship, why? And what kind of friendship? Or music, why is music that much important for you? And sex, what are you looking for? If you are looking for sex, why is sex that much important? Maybe we talked about the last one, many young people are here. What do you think? Why is sex that much important for young people today? Excuse me? Yeah, love. Yeah. Not because of pleasure. I can reveal. Sometimes we think because of pleasure. Very few, only 5% of young people said, whenever I have a chance to make sex because of pleasure, I do it. Only 5% said. 80% said no. Without connection, without a love relationship, there is no chance to make sex. I don't want to get involved. It's interesting. So what are they looking for? They are looking for intimacy, acceptance. And this is a non-religious survey. They are looking for intimacy and acceptance. And if you look at friendship, you know, what is important for you in friendship? To meet personally, you know, to be able to chat and talk personally, and to laugh together, you know, and to be available whenever I need you, they said, you know, and having common interests, and so on. So friendship is very much important, and they came to the conclusion through this research that free time for millennials, for younger generation, free time is social time. All these three areas, also music, has a very, very strong connections to social life. For example, music. So all young people are listening to music. Why are they listening to music? What do you think? What are the reasons why music is that much important for them?
It could be a means of identity or expression.
Self-expression, yes. What else? Yes. The first item was, you know, it gives me a chance to exchange, you know, with my friends. So how do they get music, new music? The first is from friends, you know. So whenever they come together, music creates a platform or a topic, gives me a chance to talk about easily, very easy. And the second important item was, you know, we are living in a world, no one is really interested about your feelings. You need to hide your feelings. Even in the church, you need to hide your feelings. You have to have a facade. You come and you need to smile. Even if you are crying in your heart. You know, at work, who is interested on your feeling? In the school, the teacher is not, the professor is not asking about your feelings. What are you doing with your feelings? Your parents are not interested in your feelings. You have to obey. So where do you have a room to express and enjoy feelings? That's music. That's music, you know, I choose music according to my emotions. And our emotional life is very much important. If you want to help young people to stop listening to bad music, what shall you do? Don't touch them teaching that the music is bad. Offer fellowship and give them room in team to express feelings and emotions. Because if you deal with their desires, you know, they will change their behavior. It's very much important. So we see in the society that there are some changes in the society that are important to recognize, and they also give us something to do for them. What possibilities do we have? The time is very short. If you have some questions, raise your hands. About each item I can talk hours if you like, but we don't have the time. We have only 45 minutes. So now, what possibilities do we have as a church? What can we do? Do you know this Hungarian game here? No? Rubik. No. How many of you can make it? No. How many of you? Let me see. How many of you ever tried it? Yeah, many of you. So, if you try it and you don't make it, what can you do? Either you stop or you change your methods. Is it true? You need to change something. With the same system, you cannot come to different results. Is it true? So also our church needs to recognize that we have to change something, but very often we go the wrong way. Because I am traveling a lot and I'm coaching churches, and I observe that very often people make very quick conclusions. We are not reaching young people, let's start contemporary music service or worship service. Without reflecting about the needs of young people. They are listening to music, they don't deal with the emotions of young people, they start contemporary music service. What are they doing? What are they doing? We see that also in the church, consumer mentality is becoming stronger and stronger. You know, they are consuming music outside of the church. Let's give them the chance to consume music within the church. Is it a real solution? Is it a real solution? I think we have to stop and reflect about the real needs of young people and what we have to change. What do millennials want? Is the question, what consequences do we have that for church life? Millionaires want to be somewhere other than home. They want to wander the world, both in real life and in digital ways. They want to feel untethered. It's very important. What consequences do we have? Don't try to bind them to the church building. If you do that, everything is in the church building. You have lost them already. You know, they want to go out. They want to discover the world. You know, I am organizing every year a trip to Africa with young people. And I just look here whether someone is, David. He joined me once, you know. And we became good friends through the trip. We knew each other before that, but being together in Africa, among the Maasai, in the desert, and experiencing challenges together, you know, that brings people together. Church means not a building, fellowship. And we need to be very much flexible and go out, leave the building in order to save the people. Organize meetings outside. In my hometown in Gyöngyös, some people are here from Gyöngyös. Once I saw the young people that they don't really enjoy the church, and I said, let's have a walk. And then we left the church building, we went into the town, and we were walking, and after sundown I said, why don't we sit down in a restaurant? I invite you to eat a hot chocolate, to drink a hot chocolate, do you remember? And we were sitting there, maybe, how many, 12, 15 young people, and they enjoyed it very much. It was real fellowship. And I heard that several times you went back, or some of you went back to the restaurant. Having a meeting in a team outside of the church building, it's very much important. Be flexible. We need to discover ways how to meet and where to meet people. And millionaires want to delay the pressures of adult life as long as possible. It's very much important. I think we have made a big mistake. The way how we present adult life, you know, is completely wrong. What do they see in our life? Stress, work, pressure, and what is the conclusion of young people? I don't want to have it. They look at their mothers. Have you heard? Young girls look at their mothers, and if they reach the age of 18 or 20, they go to the doctor, and they talk to the doctor, and you know what they want? Please make sure I cannot get a baby. I don't want to be a mother. I don't want to have this life like my mother is having. Why? Because they don't like the picture of being a mother. They don't like the picture they see, you know, what it means to be an adult. And what are we doing? We try to push them to, or put them under pressure to become a responsible adult person. What are we doing? We are creating something wrong in the church. An atmosphere of pressure. You need to change. You need to act responsibly. You need to be active in the church and do something for others. I think first, before they do something, they need to discover something, the gospel. And the main question is, how can we create an atmosphere in the church where young people and ourselves too, we enjoy and experience the powerful kingdom of God that is releasing us from guilt, from pressure, and that makes you smiling. You know, how can we experience the fruits of the Holy Spirit? Joy, forgiveness, love, peace, and so on. If you fail to do that, they are living because the church is just an extra pressure for them in life, and not a solution. So, millennials want to embrace a lifestyle of risk, exploration, and unscripted moments. Do you believe this? Whenever I go with the millennials to Africa, you know, I do many things with them, but usually some of them come up with ideas. They want to hire a motorbike and look for lions. You know, they say, no. And we are struggling and fighting. They want to climb mountains. I say, you don't know Africa. What are you doing if a cobra bites you? You know, you cannot, but they want to go. They want to explore the world, exploration. Be courageous. You need to leave your comfort zone if you want to keep millennials in your team, if you want to remain connected to them. Otherwise, they leave. They look for solutions and things they can enjoy. They want to be loyal to their peers. And for millennials, the most important item in life. What is the most important item in life? Have a peer group. To have a peer group. Peer group is a primary group composed of individuals of roughly equal age and interest and social characteristics. You cannot be, if you are a parent or you are a pastor, you cannot be part of the peer group. And everything is happening in the peer group. They want to be loyal to their peers. They don't want to change. They change the way how they look according to the pressure in the peer group. You need to recognize that. So if you want to do something together, then you need to accept their peers, or you need to support Adventist, the creation of Adventist peer groups. Bring young people together in teams, of 6 to 10, 12 people, and support them in order they can become a peer group also within the church. The millennials want to be challenged. They like challenges, and they want to explore the world, and they want to have fun together. So design challenging activities. We organize in Hungary a camp for non-Adventists. This is a Friends camp. And usually we have 200 to 450 people at the Friends camp. And many non-Adventists come to this Friends camp. And what we try to do that to challenge young people and to reflect about something. For example, last year we had youth meeting in the evening, and the way how we challenged them, that was we organized a terrorist attack. Some Muslims or Serb terrorists ran into the building, and everybody was captivated, brought in the forest outside, and we started a discussion. And then we said, you can leave here. They were bound and the eyes were covered. You can leave here only if you give us 3 good reasons for being a Christian. Or you quote one Bible text. You know the stories, very often this radical Islam, they let you go if you know the Quran, at least one verse by heart from the Quran. So we try to design challenging activities, and it is supposed to happen in teams. And millennials are a generation that craves spontaneity, participation, adventure, and clan-like relationships. And that is over-challenging the church, because that is not the way how we operate. So if you want to keep them, or if you are part of these millennials, you need to know who you are. And if you are not satisfied the church, please try to understand your church. They are not your generation. They think differently. And if you want to enjoy church life, you need to discover your own responsibility to do something. Build teams, have friends, and design your life, and ask for advice from others. If we look at the discipleship process of Jesus, how he made disciples, we see some interesting items that are different to our experiences in the church. For example, selection. Do you want to be wanted? Do you want to be wanted? There's an article in the Psychology Today. Recently they published an article, and the title of the article was, I want to be wanted. And this is the longing of everybody. Being wanted, that someone comes to me, someone discovers me. And Jesus discovered his disciples. He went to them and he said, follow me. Very often young people are waiting just to be wanted, discovered, accepted. And association. Jesus, there's a second step in the discipleship process. Jesus designed a place for people. Association was important for him. He ate together a lot with his disciples and with other people. And consecration, impartation, demonstration. He was not just teaching. It was not just a cognitive process, but he designed teaching on a way that they were learning by doing. He was on the way, and he presented. He was a good example. And delegation. You want to be trusted? Yes. You can be my disciple, follow me, and I give you, and I empower you to do something. And supervision and reproduction. We see here many elements that can be used also today in the church, but we need to change our way how we are doing the church. Here's the article I was quoting. I want to be wanted. Do we ever leave the need to be accepted behind? And psychology today writes, our emotional pain is both psychological and physical because it is processed in our brains, even though we may think these two types of pain are not connected. If you have the feeling that you are alone, you know, it is exactly the same pain, like the physical pain in your body. You know, we use a variety of behaviors to bring us closer to others, so they accept us and even like us. You know, we use a variety of ways. And you know, I have been working in area of counseling for over 15, 18 years now, and when I observe young people, how they are behaving, I see very often what kind of behaviors they do just in order to be accepted, just in order to have a team for me, a peer group for me. And have you heard about the wallflower syndrome? No? By dancing, young people are standing on the wall, especially girls, and they're waiting for someone who asks for a dance. You know, wallflower. And they talk about the wallflower syndrome. This is a syndrome, you know, that means people are waiting. I want to be wanted. I'm longing for someone who discovers me. And this is exactly what happens in the church. You know, I can tell you an example out of my our personal story. When we moved to Germany, our children didn't speak German at all. So when we went to Germany, they were not having friends. They couldn't talk. They couldn't communicate. And my son went every day outside, and he tried to do something. And one day he came back, and he said, Mom, do we have flowers at home? You know, he was 9 years old at that time. Do we have flowers at home? And we were just wondering, a 9-year-old boy is looking for flowers at home. So why do you want to have flowers? You know? And he didn't explain it at first, but later he explained, finally someone came to me on the street and asked me, who am I and how am I? Someone came to him and said, how are you, Dominic, and what are you doing? And it impressed him that much. He wanted to give that lady flowers, you know, just because she asked him, you know, how he is and who he is, you know. And this is something interesting I observe, you know, young people are waiting, and this is our chance to build teams in the church, to build peer groups and teams and use these groups to do something. Team-based learning is very much important, I think, something we have to discover. We have a very simple cognitive learning processes in the church we are using. The same what I am doing now. No. We are talking to people, we are explaining, we are teaching with very little effectivity. Have you discovered that? You know, once we had a big evangelistic meeting in my town when I was a district pastor, and the presenter presented, I think, over 20 lectures. And he spoke about the Sabbath maybe 6 or 8 times. And at the end, he asked for baptizations. And we had many visitors coming, and some made also baptizations. And I had the duty as pastor to visit these people who decided for baptism. And I visited one lady during the week, and I asked her, how is she, and whether she is ready to come to the church on Sabbath. And she asked, on Sabbath? Why on Sabbath? I was just wondering, I think the speaker spoke about the topic at least 5 times, but she didn't recognize this Sabbath. Why did she come to the church? It was just a social meeting for her. She was not looking for the truth, but she was looking for fellowship and acceptance, you know. And we need to discover that we need to change our ways how we teach values in the church and how we design values. You know, groups must be properly formed and managed. It's important. If you create groups, you know, it doesn't mean that you should create groups. They put themselves together. Once after friends camp, a young man came to me. He was not a church member, but he had a girlfriend from the church. And the parents of the girlfriend told him, so if you want to be a friend of our daughter, you must come to the friends camp. No. So that was the way how he came to the friends camp. And he spent there 1 week with us. At the end, he came to me and he said, Laszlo, I discovered something new, but I don't understand Christianity at all. You know, now I go home, I don't know how to manage my questions. Would you have time for me to chat sometimes, to talk sometimes? I said, yes, we can, but you know, you are living about 10, 15 kilometers away from me. You know, if we manage, we can do, but do you think we should do it alone, or do you want to invite some others? And he said, I asked my friends. And he asked his friends, and we had a team of 4 or 5 people coming together. Some of them were from the church, some from outside. We came together, we ate pizza together, we had good time together. But something I discovered, they checked how honest I am and how much interested I am on their stories. After they recognized that it's a safe atmosphere, they started talking about all kinds of issues. Also, Adventist young people shared with me. I asked them once, what is your favorite pizza? You know, and they asked me, do you want to have the honest answer? I said, yes, of course. You know, they said pizza with bacon. That is the favorite pizza. You know, pizza with pork, you know, bacon, and so on. And we talked about many issues, but something I discovered, we had a small team of young people, and they organized a peer group. They invited friends from the sport club, friends from the class, to the Bible study. We were studying the Bible. They managed the group. I just supported the group. So we created an environment. We met in my home, at home, or in my office where I worked, and that was the way how we created the group. But it is important to take time and to support this group seriously. Accountability in team building and work is also important. That means we are not just coming together in order to eat pizza, but we want to do something, and we have responsibility. Whenever they invited, for example, this group invited new people from their class, from the school, I said, someone new is here. If you invite someone new, you have to make the introduction, because I don't know the person. And you need to explain the topic we covered last time. So whenever they invited a new person, they shared what they learned the last time with their friends. Group assignments must facilitate both learning and team development. Our problem is often in Adventist churches that we focus on learning processes. We want to teach, and we neglect team development. What do you think? Which is more important, team development or learning? Team development creates the foundation for learning. If your team has problems, stop teaching. You need to work on the team. If the team is functioning well, you can do something for learning. Groups must have frequent and timely performance feedback. It's also important to give encouraging feedbacks, you know, and to reflect on what's happening. Traditional versus team learning. The traditional learning model is the instructor is seen primarily as a dispenser of information. He's a clever guy. He's a star. And we are also trying to produce stars in the Adventist church, speakers and pastors who can entertain. But this is the traditional learning model. What happens if the stars fall? No. What happens? People get discouraged and they leave the church. You know, slowly responsible for ensuring that learning occurs, mainly a cognitive process. Traditional versus team learning. Team learning means the primary issue is empowerment, to give the means, ability, or opportunity to do and to experience or to implement something. Focus on the abilities of a group working together. The group works together, and the groups makes also mistakes. But it's not a problem, because through mistakes we learn something new. Interaction of people learning from each other as well as from the task at hand is important. That means we are not teaching, they discover each other something new. I am just supporting them to discover something new. Observing others in action collective problem solving and experimentation, questioning assumptions and reviewing outcomes as a group is also important, and it's happening in the team learning. And something is very much important, it is creativity. God is so much creative. If you look at the nature, you see so many flowers, beautiful trees and animals. You know, do you enjoy sometimes being outside in nature? And then we go to the church, and the church seems to be black and white. Is it true? Very simple, black and white. Creativity. Albert Einstein said creativity is far more significant than knowledge in the advancement of humankind. You know, creativity is far more important. If we can create a creative learning space, like here, you see that that many things is changing actually in the group and in the life of the church. You know, creativity is contributing to many items. For example, what is my role as a teacher or as a pastor? I am not a guide throughout the life. I am a challenger. I am challenging the group. You know, it is a completely different way of approaching, you know, learning. The nature's activities are different. How do we organize our time? Not bound, but flexible. You know, we don't have classroom type of teaching, but we have workshops, exchange, where we come together and so on and so on. It creates a completely different environment. Promote and support creativity in the church is very much important. If we do that, we are supporting young people to discover their own abilities, and they can be proud of their achievement if they can be creative. My last issue is stop supporting consumerism in the church. A consumer mentality has infiltrated and developed the local Adventist church. David Lyon perceptively notes, consumerism has become central to the social and cultural life of the technological advanced societies, and I would also add also the churches. We need to stop this way, and we need to do more for discovering creative ways of learning together, and also teamwork, coming together, enjoying being together. Thank you very much for your attention. We have some time. If someone wants to talk or write, you can remain here and ask questions, or you can take my card and write emails.